Avast me, hearties! Today on the Nerdiest podcast, we'll be talking about the controversial topic, should we pirate media? But also, make sure you stick around and listen to our dream pirate crew draft. You won't want to miss it. Oh, gather round and lend an ear to the nerdiest pod you'll ever hear. When nerds talk nerdy, the bold and free. Today we ask, should we pirate the sea? I'm Captain Jackson, your host, so grand, with Mike in my grip, ashore well planned, and on my side through storm and tide, it's Mr. Nick Barrett, my co-host guide. He's the ride or die, though he needs some sleep. The host with the most from Techie Deep. So hoist the sails and press play fast. The Nerdiest podcast. Hello, everyone. That was ChatGPT's sea shanty version of our regular intro. Tune in on our next episode for a conversation about generative AI. Hello, and welcome to the Nerdiest Podcast, a show where nerds talk about nerdy things. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Mr. Jackson Glass. Today, I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Ride or Die, the host of the most, who's always sleep-deprived, Mr. Nick Barrett. And today, we will be asking the very kind of controversial topic that we're very excited to talk about today. As you can tell, we're all pirate themed today because we're talking about, should we pirate media? And we're talking about games, movies, music, all the stuff, general conversation. But we cannot sail the seven seas of this conversation without drafting our dream pirate crew. So, Mr. Nick, tell me, how are you? How are you today before we jump into our pirate crew?
You know, I'm doing pretty good. First of all, I just want everyone to know, I did not know he was doing that. We talked about doing it like right before the episode, and then I was like, I don't know if we have enough time for that. And then he said, hold on, let me cook. And I thought he was going to do something like after the episode.
Like after.
Not kick off the episode with that. So I just want everyone to know, I was not clued in on that.
Yeah.
So that was great. How am I doing? I've been doing great. I spent a lot of time with the Nintendo Switch 2.
What the freak?
So I'll talk about that a little more later, but I am doing pretty good. Thank you for asking.
Very exciting. Very exciting. We will also, Nick will be giving his initial Switch 2 thoughts, so stick around. Also, if you're just listening and you're not watching on the video, I recommend taking a little peek at the video at this one because we are in full pirate costume today. Whoa.
I am in full pirate costume. You put a bandana on.
Okay, this is no. Give me more credit than that. This is a special edition Disney World Pirates of the Caribbean bandana. And then the only other thing I could find that worked was my Living with the Land shirt because I was like, this is tropical enough. It's going to be fine. Anyway, this is going to be, we decided, one of our goals for the podcast in 2025 was we said, what if we made it to where you never knew what you were going to get when you opened an episode of the Nerdiest Podcast. And you know what? So far, we're doing pretty good. So we have chosen our own list to draft our very own pirate crews. Now, these are all pirates from popular movies, games, shows, whatever. And we will be giving a pirate draft of our top 5 pirates to put in our crew. Now, you know how a draft works. If Nick chooses a pirate that I chose, then I can't use that pirate. So if we both have the same pirate on our list, whoever gets it first gets it, and that's how that works. So we will be rolling to see who goes first. Mr. Nick with his D20.
Gonna shake it up.
Because who would we be?
Good luck.
What is the nerd? Who are we as nerds if we don't roll a D20?
Oh, okay. So
know?
we're going to kind of do this like heads or tails. Do you want 1 through 10 or 11 through 20?
I'm leaning towards 11 through 20.
All right. That means I take
feel
1
strong.
through 10.
I feel strong.
All right.
I'm ready.
Here we go.
No whammies. No whammies.
Roll the dice.
Oh, gosh.
We got... You can't really see it very well, but it's 15.
Let's go. All right. I had that feel. You know, it's the Pirates' intuition. That's how it goes.
Yeah. All right. Your
so,
first pick. First pick of the draft.
So
of the pirate draft.
First pick of the pirate draft. My first person on my crew is someone that I just immediately think of when you think pirates, and I feel like he's pretty kind of an obvious choice, but also like, duh. And I feel like this was gonna be the first one to go, no matter what we did. So my number 1 pirate spot goes to Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yep.
Which is, we all knew it was going to happen. He is like the pirate. I'm in full Disney World garb right now. I'm listening to the Pirates of the Caribbean music, a little ambience in my head. You know, that's what that's about. So, and also, here's the thing. Jack Sparrow, you know, not a great team player. Probably going to double cross you. If you're sailing the 7 seas, he's probably going to be, you know, hitting the rum kind of hard. You know, it's just kind of like, oh, I don't know. But also, at the end of the day, he always gets it done. He's always on mission. He always knocks it out. He always gets off that island. You know, he always beats the defamation lawsuit. Like, no matter what, he's my boy. He's gonna prevail whatever's thrown at him. So yeah, Jack Sparrow's number 1.
All right. It's a good pick. I knew it was going to happen.
Thank you. It's got to happen, you know?
So my number 1 pick, listen, when you're thinking about a pirate crew, you need someone who's a little smart, no nonsense. You need a good leader, someone who's going to lead your team very well.
Okay.
Be a good captain, you know, got the brains to put a good plan together, but also the ability to execute said plan and just command a room, really bring authority. So, who do I have championing this legendary pirate crew?
I'm ready.
None other than the one and only Elizabeth Swann.
Ooh,
goated from the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What can I say?
And she is a pirate. She is a pirate. Don't think she's not.
She's got the wherewithal. She's like, no nonsense. Let's get it done. We're gonna do this. It's gonna go great. Elizabeth Swann,
right.
captain, easy choice. Not even.
You're right. Okay. Good word. Okay. So here's the thing about sailing. It's really hard. I don't know nothing about sailing. If you put me on a boat, like, I don't know. Also, think about, it's 2025. Sailing is in the future. We're not just, you know, on these big, like, wooden ships and stuff. We need some advanced technology. We need some people that are gonna push us into the future of sailing. And we're gonna get there with none other than Metalbeard from the Lego Movie is my next pick. Was that on your list?
No, but I was standing in the kitchen making dinner tonight, and I thought, oh, dude, why didn't I put Metalbeard on my list? And then I didn't. So here's the question. Is he like full size, or is he the size of a Lego?
I'm thinking full size. I want the full mech, like the whole shebang, because he's a good pirate. He's a great sailor, and he can transform into other stuff like good disguises. He can be a copy machine if I need to, and I think this is a good way to kind of bring sailing into the 21st century. Is Metalbeard?
Yeah,
that's my number 2 pick.
It's good. All right, my number 2 pick. I got 2 people in this category.
Oh shoot, I'm ready.
When you're sailing on the high seas, you need someone to fight for you. You need someone to be able to defend the ship, defend the honor. I guess technically 3. When you're sailing the high seas, you need someone to fight for you. You need someone to defend. Not saying Elizabeth Swann can't fight, because she can.
Right. No, she can.
But sometimes you just need a little extra muscle. You know what I'm saying? Which is why I don't think you know this guy. I don't think you know him.
I like making new friends.
But
like a good pirate.
My second choice for a fighter is none other than the hit mini boss from The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword.
Oh.
And that is Scarvo, the mechanical robot.
Hold on. I know you're going to put pictures on screen, but I need to...
Yeah, you got to get a visual.
Do a little Google.
He's got a good fighting spirit. Listen, he like stuck around from the past into the present and was still operational. He's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like sturdy, very durable.
Yeah.
Passionate.
Okay, I see the vision. I see the vision.
You got to have it. You got to have someone who can fight for you.
Yeah.
He can fight.
You got to have that. You got to have that longevity of your pirate crew.
That's the word I was looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, no. That's a good pick. I'm pleased with that pick. Don't you worry. Okay, ready? Yep. Number 3. I thought I was going to lose this pick the second that I didn't put him first. And I'm shocked that you did not put this in here first. And this pirate is someone that I think embraces the life of the 7 seas that I would more want to live. I think there's a really good work-life balance on this person, and they could really, I think pirate community is really bad at being workaholic, overworking. There's always another island to plunder, and you know what? Tomorrow, that island will still be there. And you know what? You can clock out at 5. That is okay. And that's why Larry the Cucumber is my next pirate, none other than the captain of the pirates who don't do anything. And if you have not seen that movie, you are missing the heck out. That is a freaking good movie.
True.
Yeah, Larry the Cucumber, because, work-life balance. It's good. It's good on the 7 seas.
So I want you to know that I built my draft on the assumption that you were going to take Jack Sparrow and Larry the Cucumber. So my draft is fully functional without those 2 characters because I remember us playing Fortnite talking about this episode. And you were like, well, someone's going to get Jack Sparrow and someone's going to get Larry the Cucumber. Whoever goes first sets the order. And I said, you know what? Fine. I won't even use either of them. So I didn't. So there you go.
There you go.
So
all right. Hit me with the number 3 on your pirate crew. I'm ready.
My number 3 is, listen, man, when you're out on the 7 seas, you need someone who can clean your ship, right? Make sure it stays clean, spick and span.
Ooh, okay.
Runs a little thing in the background,
Right.
And just make sure everything runs smoothly.
Yeah.
Now, this might not be the best person for the job, but
you need someone in like a managerial role for your
Yeah, kind of. He may not be the best for the role, but I think in a pinch, he could get it done. He's a little lazy, but they always I feel like lazy people will always find the most efficient way to get things done so that they can go back to being lazy. Which is why my number 3 pick is none other than Mr. Lunt from the Pirates Who Don't Do Anything. Listen, he's a little lazy, lives off of cheese curls.
Yeah.
But you put that man in a pinch, I'm sorry. You put that vegetable in a pinch.
Put that vegetable in a pinch.
He'll get it done. I'm not worried. All right.
He won the Mr. Twisty Twisted Cheese Curl sweepstakes.
Exactly.
Okay? You think
through time, dedication, and hard work.
Okay, you think Mr. Lunt is a bad pick? I'm sorry. Did you not see him climb out of that cave?
That's what I'm saying.
Being chased by evil cheese? Hello, he fought those rock monsters like a boss. Okay. You don't even know a thing about the Pirates Who Don't Do Anything movie. All right, don't talk to me. Do not talk to me. Okay. I'm glad we can meet in the middle about these picks. Gosh, I kind of got the 3 that I really wanted, so now I have to make a difficult decision.
Ooh.
Okay, so far, my crew: Jack Sparrow, Metalbeard, Larry the Cucumber. I'm kind of building a theme of, I don't think I really want like a pirate crew to set sail. I really want to go on a cruise. I'm really not the working hard on the sea type. That's not me. So I'm trying to pick some pirates that would be a good hang. That we could, have some fun. And when I'm on a cruise, I've went on one cruise in my life, And the number one thing that I felt dominated the whole vacation, it was, what we were scheduling around, what we were doing, and that's food. And so my next pirate is someone who I think would bring the best snacks that you could ever have on a ship. And that's why my number 4 pick for my pirate draft is none other than the Captain Crunch himself.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet you didn't even think about freaking Captain Crunch.
I didn't even think about cereal, man.
Dude, Captain Crunch, oops, all berries, it's over. It's freaking over, dog. Because oops, all berries, delicious, right? We are sailing them seas. Jack Sparrow, Metalbeard, Larry the Cucumber, Captain Crunch.
All right.
Booyah.
All right. Mm-hmm. All right. I see your Captain Crunch. I honestly did not expect you to go the cereal route, but
that's what I'm saying.
I'll take it. That's good.
Yeah,
so
that's what I'm saying.
For my 4th pick, when you're out on the sea, you're plundering, looting,
of course,
plunder and ravage, and don't give a hoot.
Of course,
you need someone to keep track.
That's real pirate talk
of all of that, treasure. All of that loot, right. All of that booty that you're bringing in.
Somewhat of
you know what I'm saying?
Somewhat of a treasurer.
Yes. And
yeah.
Also, you need someone to make sure, you don't necessarily let the captain handle all the deals. You know what I'm saying? You need someone to, be an intermediary, negotiate between the two parties. And there is no one else who I would rather trust this to. You would not know this guy either. All right? There's no one I would rather trust this to. Well, actually, no, you would. You would. Than the space pirate himself, Hondo Onaka of Onaka Transport Solutions, right?
Oh.
Listen,
okay.
He'll make sure all of our piracy and smuggling is done above the board and totally not sketchy at all. We will get all of the maximum profit while appeasing the maximum amount of people we can.
Wow.
And then maybe pocket a little for himself in there. And that's okay. He puts in some hard work, gets it done. I don't bat an eye. It's all good. So Hondo Onaka, he's like my money guy. He makes sure we get all the loot. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. No, I see you. I didn't even think about space pirates. If we were going space pirates, I would have had a much longer list. We could have. Daggum. Okay. So, if you've listened to this show at all, you would know, and if you listen to our last episode specifically, you would know that I am a very large fan of a certain cartoon for children. And as I'm relaxing on my luxury pirate cruise, I need someone who's going to bring some physical media. And now we're going to have this whole conversation. It's not going to be pirated. I know that's ironic. You're going to bring a pirate that's going to own their... No. Only pirates that own their media, okay? That is a rule number 1 for my crew. You have to own all your media. And I know that a physical media loving pirate who is a number 1 fan of a certain cartoon that I also like would be a great hang for our relaxing snack cruise, okay? I'm ready to kick back in the recliner, let the waves joggle our ship around while I watch my favorite cartoon. And that is why Mr. Patchy the Pirate, SpongeBob's biggest fan, will be on my pirate crew.
Whoa.
Or else. You look up this man.
Hold on.
Look up this man. Patchy the Pirate, SpongeBob's biggest fan. He is the guy for me.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? I'll take it.
Yeah. Patchy the Pirate, because I know he would bring all of the best DVDs because we could just all watch SpongeBob together. And I think that'd be hype. So this is my final crew. All right, ready? I got Captain Jack Sparrow, number 1. Number 2, Metalbeard from the Lego Movie. Number 3, Larry the Cucumber, the pirate who doesn't do anything. Number 4, Captain Crunch himself. And number 5, Patchy the Pirate, bringing me some TV shows.
All right. That's good. That's good. For my last pick, here's the thing. And I'm going to put a poll.
Okay.
Because we have
I'm
names
ready.
for our pirate crews, so you guys can vote who has the better draft of a pirate crew. If we were ever to get in an altercation, I would win by just sheer force of will alone.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Because I'm out here ready to plunder the 7 seas and perhaps discover the 8th. And you're out here on a luxury cruise, okay? Which is why, listen, you can never have too much muscle on your crew, right? We got Elizabeth Swann, we got Scarvo, Hondo's got a gun, and Mr. Lunt will casually watch from the sidelines while all of this goes down, which means we need one more muscle, one more guy who's going to really bring home the muscle and really bring home the fighting spirit. And I think he could probably destroy your entire crew in one go. And that is why my final pick is none other. If you are a dedicated fan of the Nick with No K YouTube channel, you'll know where this is going. You can see I'm dressed up like Monkey D. Luffy from the hit anime One Piece. That's why my final pick for the draft is none other than the pirate hunter himself, swordsman extraordinaire, Roanoa Zoro. All right? 3-sword style. He's going to make sure we're all safe. No one's even going to think to mess with us. Because we got Zoro on our team. All right? So my final lineup is Elizabeth Swann from Pirates of the Caribbean. Scarvo from The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Mr. Lunt from The Pirates Who Don't Do Anything. Hondo Onaka from Star Wars The Clone Wars. And Roanoa Zoro from One Piece.
Okay.
So, Jackson, what is the name of your crew?
I would like to present to you my crew. We will be called. I have 2 names. I can't decide which one.
You got to pick one.
I'm going to go with the original name that I wrote down here this morning, and that is none other than the Booty Bandits. Because we know how to chase that booty.
All right.
No, that's not actually, because I thought, because we know how to sit on our booties. That's what I'm saying.
All right.
It was either that or the armchairs.
You know what?
The Booty Bandits is better.
That's
know what?
fair.
The Booty Bandits.
Mine's not that clever. Mine is, I came up with this at like 6 a.m. when I jolted awake from my alarm this morning, and I thought, that's it. And I haven't moved on from it since then. So we will be called the No K Pirates because they're led by Nick with No K. And our exclusive quest will be to wipe out anyone whose name is spelled N-I-C-K. And by wipe out, I don't mean kill. I mean we're just taking the K off their name.
Oh, so you're here to kill the K.
Yeah, we're killing the K. So we're
the
just
No Ks.
Like we're the No Ks.
Okay.
And no one in the crew
I see the vision.
has a K in their name. Hondo literally had to change his name to just be Hondo. He doesn't have a last name anymore.
Oh, okay, cool. There's no last name.
No.
I'd also like to say my crew does have a bonus member because I'm all about health, and that is her name is Debbie. And she's not from a show or anything, but she is a soccer mom. And she will provide us with cuties so that we don't get scurvy.
Ooh.
And that is
That's a good point.
That is my final member is Debbie. So keep in mind, when you're voting for the Booty Bandits, you are voting for Debbie.
I don't have a bonus member per se.
But you had like a backstory and stuff. You know, you guys had a mission.
Yeah, that's true. We have a purpose.
Our mission is to sit.
Yeah, listen, when you're voting, okay, decide if you're going to choose the lazy people or the ones who are on a conquest for the good of humanity, all right?
No. Think about, do you want to work or sit?
Our crew's here to work, man.
No, you know what? All right, vote below. Booty Bandits or the No Ks. This is these are your options. 2016 election style. You have to vote, even though they both are awful.
Let's Pokemon go to the polls.
The polls. So, yeah.
How do you do, fellow kids?
Man, That was a silly, silly bit.
I love that we do these silly little bits.
Oh
now.
my gosh, I could not be happier. This show has never been in a place better than it is right now.
We
Praise
are so
the Lord.
back.
We are so back. All right, so we will be going now. Part of the reason we had such a silly bit beforehand was because we will be talking about something a little more bigger brain, a little more serious today.
We gotta lock in.
We gotta lock the freak in, guys. But first things first. Normally our weekly recap, I didn't do nothing interesting, but Mr. Nick, I think you did, and I want to hear all about the first impressions of your first week with the Nintendo Switch 2, which came out last weekend as of recording. Please let me know.
All right. So, as he said, and as I've talked about on this show before, I was one of the very lucky people to get a Nintendo Switch 2. As you can see, if you're watching the video, it's here. I do have a grip on it just because, yes, it is bigger. And that's the first thing I want to note is like pulling it out of the box compared to the Switch OLED that I had before. This thing's massive. Like, it is a substantial upgrade, even in just the screen alone, and I think that is incredible. So, I got the Mario Kart World bundle. So, what was really funny is I was worried that Walmart wasn't going to... Oh, excuse me. I was worried that Walmart wasn't going to deliver it before I had to leave for work. And
right.
I don't know if he's listening to the podcast or not. If he is, that's great. If not, I don't know. I just want to say, God bless my Walmart Spark driver, Miguel, who got this Switch 2 and my Pro Controller delivered to my front door at 6:29 a.m. You are a champion. You are doing the Lord's work. Thank you.
Shout out, Miguel. Dude,
also, shout out to Walmart for putting Pringles and orange cream soda in the bag for free. They didn't even advertise it. They just did it. And then they later were like, we just wanted people to, have a little pick-me-up, have a little snack while you're gaming, stay hydrated. Apparently, it saved someone's life.
What?
Because
it's like a thing?
No, like actually, some I read like a summary of it on Reddit, and this guy who was diabetic, like something happened where his blood sugar dropped, and he didn't like he wasn't able to get to anything, but he had the orange cream soda and the Pringles, and that like kept him from going into like a diabetic coma.
Oh my god!
And I'm like, whoa, that's pretty sick, actually.
Take that, Sony.
Yeah,
like friggin'
Sony, what are you doing? $700 console, losers.
My elbow.
Anyway, so I opened everything up. I gotta say, the transfer process from the OLED to the Switch 2 was very smooth, very quick. Took maybe 10 minutes. Like to get all of my data pulled over.
Mm-hmm.
And then even though it doesn't support micro SD cards, it only takes the express cards, it still let me put the old one in, and it pulled all of the like images and screenshots and stuff off of it, held it on the system, and then when I put the new micro SD card in, it like spit them all back on there. So even like that part of the process, they were aware that like people have all these screenshots and stuff that they want to save. So once I got in, I spent most of the first day just downloading stuff, between downloading Mario Kart, Fortnite, a bunch of my other digital games like Doom, Animal Crossing, that kind of stuff. I downloaded the update, like the upgrade pack for Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, and I jumped into that Thursday night. And dude, what can I say? I was blown away by the fact that the grass was moving in 60 FPS. Like, a game that already looked gorgeous looks even better now. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Nintendo cooked. They did it. Okay, I'm in. And then I played Mario Kart World. Mario Kart World is going to be an interesting case study about 2 or 3 months from now, because there is a very high skill gap between the people who are good at the game and the people who are not. This is not like Mario Kart 8, where your skill is just based on the luck of the item draw. Your skill is based on whether or not you can rail grind, wall jump, and continually do tricks back and forth, while also getting blasted by items. Anywhere between like 4th and 24th place is like a war zone. You cannot stop getting hit. And they removed invincibility frames. So if you get hit with a red shell, and then someone throws another one, there's no like, oh, you just got hit, let's give you... No, bam, bam, bam. Like you can chuck and you can kill people with these shells, dude. It's crazy. It's insane. And I've loved every single second of it because it's so different. And it's like, I think there is a factor if we've been playing the same Mario Kart game for 12 years, essentially. But at the same time, like, I appreciate the skill gap. Like, I think that's nice because assuming this is the only Mario Kart we get for the next 8 years, that gives me plenty of time to learn how to rail grind, wall jump, do all that stuff, and like learn all the shortcuts and get really good at it instead of just like Mario Kart 8, especially because Mario Kart 8 in terms of controls was so similar to DS, 7, Wii, like, because it was just all the same, like, oh, you can trick off ramps and you can glide and like do the anti-gravity stuff. Whereas this control-wise feels so different. And I went into it trying to play it like Mario Kart 8, and I got bodied by the computers, which is another thing. The computers in this game are actually hard. Like, they will not let you win. This is not your grandma's Mario Kart 8 where you can lap the AI on 150cc because they just suck. No, the AI will lap you. They'll obliterate you. I was doing a 150cc on one of the Grand Prix, and I was just driving on the ground, and I watched one of the AI just jump back and forth doing wall jump stuff. I'm like, I'm getting outclassed by the AI. That's crazy. So Mario Kart World, very fun. I think the Knockout Tour is probably my favorite because I've always wanted like an elimination style mode in Mario Kart. It's again really difficult. Like, I've played almost all of them and I still haven't like gotten that 3-star, and even to get the 3-star on the Knockout Tour, you have to go through every checkpoint in first. You have to be in first for every like the whole stretch of the race. So needless to say, there will be a lot more time put into this Mario Kart. Another game I checked out was Fortnite. Fortnite looks, runs, feels so much better on the Switch 2. I tried it out in mouse mode yesterday. Mouse mode is good. My hesitancy to use it comes from the fact that I just don't play Fortnite with a mouse.
Right.
So, like, if you're a PC player, I think you would enjoy it a lot more than I did because I'm just not used to playing with a mouse. So, like, I kept trying to use the joystick to look around because that's what I'm used to. And I'm just sitting here like, oh, wait, I got to move the mouse to look up and down and all that. So I'm
curious what it'd be like if I tried it, because I love Fortnite on the PC. So like I'm really curious if I would just like instantly adapt to it, if it'd be weird. Because like that's the bridge between console and PC at this point. Like that's it.
It's just no, you're right. So yeah, Fortnite's good. I really love the Switch 2 Pro Controller because it has these buttons on the back. And what you can do is the Switch will remember what you program those buttons to. So like in Mario Kart, it's set for one thing. In Fortnite, it's set for a different thing. Like I have my run and my crouch on the back two triggers so that when I want to run, instead of pushing in on the stick, I just press the back button and it goes. Same for crouching on the other hand. So that, I think, is probably my favorite part about the Pro Controller. I haven't quite found a use for it in like Mario Kart and Tears of the Kingdom yet, and some of the other games. I think some of it'll come naturally, some of it won't. I also have it set. I went out and got Epic Mickey rebrushed this weekend, and I have it set for that, so I've been playing a lot of that. My only gripe with the Switch 2 currently, well, two gripes. One of them is kind of irrelevant at the moment, or like it's relevant, but it'll be irrelevant in like 6 months, is the Switch 2 doesn't have a ton of games at the moment. At least not games that I particularly care to play, right? Like it has Cyberpunk and all these other like, you know, big third-party games, which is great for the people who want to play it. For me, I'm more of a Nintendo gamer. Like I like playing Nintendo. That's how it's always been. So to not have those games feels weird because the only big like Nintendo game at launch is Mario Kart World, and then a bunch of like Nintendo Switch 2 editions of Zelda and you know, Mario Odyssey and Kirby and Mario Party, like, which I know won't really be an issue like 6 months from now because we'll get another Nintendo Direct and they're like, okay, here's all these games and like we have a new Hyrule Warriors coming that we know about, and there'll be a bunch of other stuff too. So it's kind of like an issue for now, and I think it's an issue that most new consoles go through. Because especially if they're not backwards compatible, I think the Switch 2 would be a lot worse off if it wasn't backwards compatible. Yeah. If it was only Switch 2 games, I think this would be an abysmal launch. But the fact that I can just put in, Xenoblade Chronicles, poking Epic Mickey, which is a Switch 1 game, and just play that while I wait for new games and go through my backlog, that's great. They also did an update, so games like Hyrule Warriors that have unlocked frame rates now run at 60 FPS. Or no, I think Hyrule Warriors, the Warriors games are now at a stable 30, which if you've played Hyrule Warriors on the Switch,
I was gonna say,
how bad that can be.
It can go down to 8.
Yeah. So now that it's at a stable 30, maybe pushing 40, I'm all right.
They're 13 entities on screen.
And then the Switch explodes.
Yeah. No, freaking, yeah.
So my only other gripe, and this is one that can be fixed over time, but is still an issue out the box, is because Nintendo decided to mass manufacture these consoles since September. That means a lot of these launch day consoles have been sitting in a warehouse for 9 months. And the batteries haven't been used, which means the system doesn't recognize how the battery should be charged, which has led to Thursday when I first got it, I played maybe an hour and a half of Mario Kart, and I went from 88% to 15%.
Yeah.
In an hour and a half. And I was like, wow. That sucked. That's terrible battery life. I'm like, I don't know, man. Am I going to have to carry a battery bank around with me everywhere?
Right.
And then as the weekend went on, a couple YouTubers were like, hey, drain the battery all the way down, let it die, let it charge all the way back up without using it, and just keep doing that a couple times. And then the system will eventually catch on to how long the battery life's actually supposed to be, and then it'll fix itself. This will probably be a non-issue, again, 6 months from now. If you walk in a store and pick up a Switch 2 that was manufactured a month ago,
right,
that'll be a non-issue because they'll from QA to in your hands will go a lot faster.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, but other than that, it's great. I love it. I'm gonna take it on. We're going on a big family trip, so I'm gonna take it on and really get some time in handheld and be away from the TV. And I'm so excited.
That's hype.
Rumor has it that they sold over 3 million units launch weekend, which is now, if that's true, makes it the biggest launch of a console ever. Almost doubling the PS5.
Oh my gosh. Because was PS5 the biggest launch before that?
Mm-hmm. So Sony fans will be a little extra salty this generation. By the way, this is a side note. Everybody who complained about the Switch 2 price being $450 or $500 for the bundle, I want to hear all of these people start whining and crying when Xbox drops the price for their new handheld, and it's $700 to $1,000.
Yeah.
All right? I want to see the same outrage here. And not that, it's Xbox. Xbox makes real games.
Right.
As if the Xbox showcase that just happened, not all of those games are coming to Switch. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Half of them are all coming to Switch 2, and you guys just don't want to admit it. So, anyway, that's my initial impressions of Switch 2.
That's sick.
Very good so far. Hoping we get a Nintendo Direct soon to give me more games to look forward to. That would be great. So
that's lit. Hey, we're going to keep you updated on the Switch 2 as it continues in the life cycle. We'll keep you updated as numbers go on and whatnot. But, also, I'll just say, if you have anything to add, any Switch 2 thoughts or anything, if you're watching on YouTube, drop a comment down below. Let us know what you think. Or on Spotify, drop a comment if you have a Switch 2. Or if you didn't get one and you're really salty about it, please vent down below. You can comment on Spotify or YouTube. Also, while you're there, make sure you subscribe on YouTube. We're doing some really cool stuff over there. You can watch video versions of this amazing podcast, and you can follow us on Instagram at the Nerdiest Podcast for more updates on new episodes and exclusive content coming very soon. And you can also follow us on Twitter at Nerdiest Pod. All of the links are in the description for our personal YouTube channels and Instagrams and stuff. And also you can get your very own Nerdiest Podcast merch at thenerdiespodcast.com. So everything you need is in the links down below. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you hope you're enjoying the show, and we really appreciate you making it this far. But that's not why we're here. Today, we are here to ask the question, should we pirate media? Now, Nick has done some deep research.
Thank you for calling it deep research. That is not what it was.
As far as you are concerned, Nick has done some deep research, and we're gonna go over a few things and then kind of just have a chat about like piracy, because this has become a much bigger thing, and I've kind of talked to a few different people and gotten some like mixed reactions, because I was at work today and I asked someone, I was like, well, what do you think about piracy? And he was like, well, what do you mean? I was like, well, what do you think? He's like, well, it's illegal. And I was like, yeah, but, and then I kept bringing up scenarios. And he was like, well, I don't know. And we had a really bizarre conversation, because we were both kind of like, I don't friggin' know. Like, what do we do? And this is such a bizarre thing, because piracy 10 years ago looked super different. So, Nick, please take us away. Tell us what you're thinking.
All right. So, as most people should know, but if you don't, I'll go ahead and get this out of the way. I am very staunchly anti-piracy, even in some of the more like moral gray areas that we'll talk about in a little bit. But I'm very like, piracy is stealing, piracy is wrong. Most justifications for it are just a justification because you don't want to pay for something, especially in the modern day. And something I'll bring up in a little bit here is I see a lot more of the piracy side when it comes to anime and manga and video games. Those are like my three areas where I'm really big in on like the piracy conversation. Yeah. So before we dive into the moral
I'd also like to say before anything else, that is Nick's side of the piracy. I'm way more on the movies, shows, and music side of piracy. So we are trying to cover the full spectrum here. So if that's not your jam, stay tuned. We're talking about the whole thing. It's all going to be great.
So before we dive into like, the moral arguments and like start making arguments for or against or whatever, let's take a look and ask the question, what is copyright? What is like so how do we navigate piracy?
This feels educational.
So the only reason piracy can be deemed illegal is because U.S. copyright law exists. And that came about, let me find out my notes here. Where is it? Where'd it go? It was right here. There it is. Okay, so everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. In 1976, when the United States instituted the Copyright Act of 1976, which then granted exclusive copyright rights to the owner of the copyright, which allows them to reproduce, distribute, publicly perform or display, create derivative works such as adaptations, remixes, sequels, etc., and then license the work to others. So that's your, Disney is allowed to do whatever they want with their, Toy Story because they created it, they own the copyright for it, so thus they're protected. Now, the duration of copyright law is, and this is for anything created after January 1st, 1978, is life of the author plus 70 years. So if I live to be 100 years old and then I die, so it's life of the author and then an additional 70 years. So my entire lifetime and then 70 years after I die. Now, copyright does automatically exist once a work is created, and whoever created it holds the copyright for it. You do not have to register with the U.S. Copyright Office, but you do need to register with them if you want to sue for infringement or seek damages and attorney's fees. Now that we've kind of established what copyright is, everybody knows what copyright is, right?
Right.
Protects you, protects the things you create. What is piracy?
If you put a video of something that is not yours on YouTube, you will get a copyright strike.
Yep, because you're infringing on someone else's copyright. That's how it works.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, what is piracy? Right? We need to define what we're talking about here. Piracy refers to the unauthorized use, copying, or distribution of copyrighted works, especially digital content like streaming or downloading movies from illegal websites, uploading cracked video games, sharing ROMs, or reproducing content without permission, thus making piracy a form of copyright infringement, which this is where people get the piracy is illegal, because it is, because it is a form of infringing on the copyright.
It's not a victimless crime.
Now, piracy cannot legally be classified as theft because theft is the stealing of a physical item, right?
Yeah.
If it's a digital thing, like, burning a DVD to your hard drive, you're not stealing a DVD. You're not stealing a video game cartridge. You're taking the content off of it, which is a digital, non-physically tangible thing.
Yeah.
So it cannot be considered theft per se. Now, if you go to Target and you steal the DVD, then yeah, that's theft. And then if you upload it, then that's just a double crime of theft and piracy,
right.
And that's a whole different conversation. So, however, the U.S. courts have upheld that digital copying is infringement.
Whoa.
So even though it's not physically stealing, it is considered copyright infringement because it violates the owner's exclusive rights, causes financial harm, and is still illegal, even though it is different than stealing a DVD from a store, like I said.
Wow.
Now, there are different types of copyright infringement that I won't get into because it's a lot of stuff. It's, whatever. Examples of piracy that everyone knows is like watching or distributing pirated movies, or illegal streaming, uploading entire movies to YouTube or social media, recording movies in theaters. That's illegal, very much
There's
so.
a reason that's illegal.
As for video games, downloading cracked version of video games, sharing ROMs, distributing or playing leaked games before release. Tears of the Kingdom, 2 weeks before it came out, that was a huge thing. Back in 2023, that sucker leaked. Now there is a note here. Emulators are legal, but distributing the ROMs are not, and that's a very crucial distinction here going forward. When we talk about video games, is that emulators are legal and okay, but even then, I think there's some,
What does it mean distributing the ROMs?
Distributing the ROMs is like, if I took my copy of Breath of the Wild, dumped the files on my computer, and I just wanted to play it in 4K 60 FPS because I didn't have a Switch 2, right? Or even before the Switch 2 version, because I feel like now that there is a 4K 60 version, it gets a little more hairy.
Right.
So let's say pre-Switch 2. I can take my files and I can dump them onto my computer because I physically own the game. That's part of your rights as a consumer who owns things. It's okay because I'm emulating a game that I own on a different device. What wouldn't be okay is if I took those files, stuck them on a flash drive, and then gave them to you to play on your PC because you don't own that. That's not how that works.
And most people that are doing that are not saying, hey, can I borrow your game? They're saying, do you want this for $30? Do you want this for $50?
Or they're locking it. What happened with the Tears of the Kingdom thing where it, leaked 2 weeks ahead of time is all of the files got uploaded. People were able to play it. And then actually this person got sued over it and they lost. Because they were locking their emulator behind a Patreon paywall, which in and of itself is like a little gray, but it's okay.
Right.
Because you're just paying for the emulator service, not necessarily a game to go with it. But then they said, hey, you need to buy our emulator and we'll give you the Tears of the Kingdom files while we're at it.
Yeah.
And then Nintendo said, all right, kill him. And they went full ninja on this dude. Like, I'm pretty sure he got served a hefty fine, if not serving time behind bars. So, now, all that to say, you might cry, what about fair use? It's a good point. Don't worry. Fair use.
I was going to say that,
allows for limited use of copyrighted material. We all know this. For commentary and criticism, education, news reporting, parody or satire, right? Like making your YouTube videos, using, little segmented clips from movies, like that's okay. What's not okay is pirating a full movie or game for personal use. That is not okay. So screen ripping your entire Weathering With You from the Microsoft Store is not okay. Even if you're like, well, I'm going to cut it up and use it in a YouTube video. Whoa. Okay, not the whole movie. you can take like little pieces here and there, but not the whole movie.
Isn't that so weird though? Like that's so gray.
What if I just made a bunch of clips of like with like 2 seconds in between? Then it's not technically the whole movie.
Is that legal? It's so frustrating. Because also like, who am I? Like there was a guy who got in trouble because he was streamed an entire pay-per-view MMA fight. Like you could just watch it on his Twitch stream. But no one caught it because he put himself in the corner to look like he was playing a game. So it looked like he was playing the fight and no one caught him. And so like that's weird. Like that's a weird gray area I don't fully understand, but continue.
Now, how do we enforce this? Well, obviously, we have the more like obvious ones like Content ID, DMCA takedowns, like all that stuff on YouTube. Internet service providers can cut off your internet if they catch you, pirating stuff. There's a bunch of anti-piracy firms who also take care of that. And shockingly enough, I found this in the research, FBI has also investigated and shut down major piracy groups. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
No, people don't realize your local internet providers can see when you're doing stuff like that. They get a little flag.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, they know. I know people that do this for a living, okay? I know someone who went to, like, someone who interned at, like, the sheriff's office or something, and they were like, yeah, do you do this? He was like, no. He was like, good, because you'll get a ping on my computer if you do. And it's like, whoa, like they know, like, don't think this is not a victimless crime. Like they know.
So the last thing I want to bring up here before we, dive into I have a little bit more notes here, but something that I think could really be its own conversation. And I do kind of see the argument here is what we call digital rights management, or DRM. And this has become especially prevalent as we get into the more digital age, where we're not buying as many, physical DVDs, books, like TV CDs, shows, video games. Like when it's not on a physical disc that I own and you have to come in my house to take away, and it's just, a digital thing here on my Switch too. Well, what's to say Nintendo doesn't just cut off service and take the game away? So there's a lot of like pushing for the same rights to digital stuff that you have to physical stuff. But companies don't necessarily have to listen, because if you buy Lilo and Stitch, right, on Amazon Prime, you're not buying Lilo and Stitch. You're buying a permanent key and a license to watch that movie whenever you want. You don't actually own Lilo and Stitch. You just own the ability to watch it whenever you want. Same goes for Disney Plus, Netflix, whatever. You don't own any content on these streaming services. You own the ability to watch them whenever you want. And people have an issue with that, and that's where, you get into a lot more like modern piracy with anime and video games. Is like, as we go more digital, it's like, well, if buying isn't owning, then piracy isn't stealing, which is a really stupid argument that I will tackle later. But it is what it is. So I think that's pretty much everything. So I will let you take it away.
Yeah.
What are some of the more moral side? As I'm the legalistic over here, like, of it's course. Bad and wrong. Like, what's
Nick
your
is
side
my lawyer.
Here?
So
no, I shouldn't be.
Here's what's interesting to me. So if you think about like, simplify this down to music. Think about in 2005, how do you pirate music? You take a CD, or you rip a CD and you give it to someone else that doesn't own it, or all these things, or like LimeWire, like sites like this that were like the start of digital piracy. Well, back in the day, if you wanted to listen to a song, your options were to own it on a CD or a vinyl, or hear it on the radio. Those are your options. If you wanted to try to record it off the radio, you could. Like, you could try that, but it was super inconvenient. I remember as a kid, I would go to the thrift store and I would find, like, I kid you not, this is a very vivid memory. I'd find these, like, racks of people's mixtape CDs. And it was like, and I remember my dad being like, this is, like, low-key illegal. Because, these artists did not give you permission to rip their music to the CD in your mixtape, thus just to sell to someone else at Goodwill. Now, that's super hairy, whatever. But here's what's interesting. Now it's 2025. Say that I don't own a Spotify subscription. I don't own an Apple Music subscription. My options are I could own it on CD, own it on vinyl, or listen to the radio, or I could listen on YouTube. And here's what's so complicated. If I want to listen to Uptown Funk because it's a good song, but I don't have a Spotify subscription, if I go to YouTube and download that MP3 and add that to my iTunes library, is that piracy? Because that's accessible to anyone.
Right. Like YouTube is a public platform.
That is a public platform.
It's very open. But then it gets a little hairy because it's not like YouTube gave you the ability to download it. You had to go to a third party.
Right.
That runs like YouTube to MP3. But then also, like, what's the implication of I'm going to go download this Xenoblade soundtrack to use in a video, of which that falls under fair use? Is that still piracy?
Right.
Because the intention is, and even like in the case you mentioned, like, is it piracy? Probably. But what's your intention? Are you like ripping this from YouTube so you can stick it on a like CD and make some profit, or like re-upload it to YouTube with monetization on? Or is this like, I just want to build like a personal MP4 or MP3 player. And I need some songs to stick on there.
Do you remember when you did that? When you had your physical MP3 player? Bro. Oh, he still has it. Oh,
Bro, hold on.
He's reaching.
Let me find it.
Because you wanted some pretty niche songs on there and you had to rip them. But here's the thing. Here's my question. I think this is why it's so hard to talk about this in a digital age, is you can't steal something that's free. Like, you can't sneak into a free concert. What's the line? And I think what the problem is, this like conversation and even legal side of copyright and piracy can't keep up with how fast the digital age is moving.
Right.
And we're creating new bizarre ways to share our content, and we're so like out there in the public where, like, you know, my favorite thing about podcasts is they're pretty implied to be free. There is like there is no barrier to a podcast. Most of them. Now, we've learned how to monetize a podcast, but there's almost no barrier. If you decided to rip an entire episode of the Nerdiest podcast, entire season of the Nerdiest podcast onto a DVD, one, I probably wouldn't know, but two, is that piracy? Or do I lose the right to sue you over that when I essentially give it up to the internet for interpretation? I think this is where I get lost on the moral implication, because I think about, am I stealing this? But then I also think, okay, well, I post on the internet. And it becomes a really sticky situation with like terms of service and things you agree to, where it's like, Facebook can't use my pictures to train their AI models. Well, guess what? You agreed to it. They can.
Like, it's in their TOS and you agreed to it. Yeah. So is there something in the YouTube TOS that we agreed to that other people can do that?
Right. Or worse, can YouTube do that? Because YouTube can run ads on my YouTube videos when I'm not monetized.
Right. And that's just money for them.
And that's just money in their pockets. So this is like a very messy conversation that I don't feel prepared to be like, this is the answer.
Right.
And that's kind of the point. Was I was like, what are we doing? What's the point? And I bring up another question, and it is the only time I could ever think about piracy being like more of a gray area, because like we said, piracy is illegal. You wouldn't steal a car. You wouldn't, all this stuff. We've all seen the commercial that terrified us as a kid. So like, what if there's a situation where, say, this is super hypothetical. What if there was a movie that Warner Brothers decided to can? Oops, not hypothetical. What if Warner Brothers made a movie that was complete, fully done? All the people that worked on it were like happy with it. Some test audiences saw it. It's whatever. But then they said, you know what? I don't think we're going to make our money back on this, and we would be better to put this on the shelf, and we would be better to delete it forever and get the tax refund. What is a better scenario? Letting it die and just never see the light of day, and it's just like, well, that's it. The people that owned the thing decided that it didn't need to see the light of day. Or can the people ethically say, no, that is wrong. You shouldn't take all these people's work that is completely done and just delete it forever, because they can't make money off of that. They can't put it on their resume. They can't do all this. Can the people pirate it and essentially take it back from the company? I don't know. So I'm so back and forth.
So let me give you my stance on piracy, because this is very different than it was 6 months ago, because I've had a lot of conversations with coworkers and like other, friends and stuff.
Right.
Is in that
Internet
case,
people.
The legal justification, as sucky as it is, would still go that as Warner Brothers is the copyright holder, they have every right to can that sucker and never let it see the light of day. Is that a good thing? No. Not by any way, shape, or form. Media preservation is a very real thing. Like, that is a very real thing that we should do. And there are a lot of people who, upload ROMs and stuff of like old NES games, because they're like, well, we want to preserve all of these old games because they're not actively making Super Mario Brothers for the NES.
Right.
Like, at least not in a physical form. They are like on Nintendo Switch Online, and there are other ways to play it, but I understand from the preservation side of things, right? Like how that goes down. So there is a very real argument to be made about like media preservation, and I get that.
Right.
But Warner Brothers is still the copyright holder. They can do whatever they want with that. Like, if they want to can it and get rid of it, absolutely go for it. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's a good thing, but they can. Here's where I get a little more against piracy, right?
Yeah.
And this comes down like to I'll use anime and video games as my main example here. If you want to watch an anime, right? Like My Hero Academia, which is readily available on Crunchyroll, Hulu, Netflix, YouTube TV, Amazon Prime, like readily available in all these different places.
Your local DVD like retailer
You should not, under any circumstance, feel the need to pirate My Hero Academia, because it is readily available in a lot of different places. It is not some lost media that needs to be preserved forever. It's not some like niche anime from the 1930s. It's readily available and accessible. Now, there are some anime that do not fall in that category, right? Like shows that have been ripped from Amazon Prime and now have no legal way to watch it, which is hard because there are a lot of really good anime fans who want to support it in the legal, viable way, because they want to support the original creators. They want to support these sites who are bringing anime to a wider audience. But when there isn't any way to do that, then it kind of gets a little more hairy on, like, for example, none of the Bunny Girl Senpai movies are available publicly, legally, for anyone outside of Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Which puts me in a sticky spot because I'm like, I want to watch these movies, but there's no, like, you're not giving me an avenue to do so legally. So then is it okay to jump on a pirate site and watch it? Am I at fault if I get on a pirate site and I watch anime? Because I'm not the one uploading and distributing it.
Right.
I'm just consuming it.
I'm a consumer.
So then as a consumer, am I at fault? Like, if it's put up on a free site. Which is
so hard. So hard.
Who bears the burden of the blame there?
It's so hard because I believe so much in, like, creative integrity, where I'm like, as a creator, I'm like, I want this to be viewed in the way I intended it to be viewed. So, like, if the creators of these movies are like, we just don't feel like distributing it to these countries, like, I guess, but like you're saying, it's really hard because it's like, I tried. It's like, I really tried to legally do this, but you didn't let me. So the question is, whose fault is that?
Who's really at
fault? Whose
fault
fault is that?
Like, yes, the copyright holder, because they're not putting it out, but also they have every right to not do that.
Yeah.
Like, that's what's so interesting. And here's my thing. I had quite a few friends in college, and I've interacted with a lot of people on Twitter who pirate their anime, right?
Yeah.
Who jump to the pirate site day one to see the new episode that got ripped from Crunchyroll and put on there. Here's my thing. Like I said, if it's a readily airing show on any of the platforms that are readily available,
wait.
Either wait or just get the service. Like, I had a friend in college who, she was very adamant about, like, watching on pirate sites and refused to pay for Crunchyroll, like, if it wasn't on Netflix, like, because she had her family's Netflix, like, refused to pay for Crunchyroll.
Right.
And I was like, Crunchyroll is $10 a month. $10 a month to legally, readily watch all of the same shows you're watching.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh, it's too expensive. I can't afford it. And then, continues to go out and eat, like, $30 meals every day. Like, no, you can afford it. Just don't eat out once.
Right.
And that's Crunchyroll for 3 months.
Right.
Like, I can't sympathize with that. Because you're saying, well, I can't afford it, but then, like, not managing your money well, there are people who genuinely can't afford it.
Right.
Like, there are people who do genuinely
sad.
fall in that category, and that is unfortunate. But people like that, which is what pirates...
Well, people like that are ruining it for the people that genuinely need the help.
Yeah.
I've
said this on Twitter, and you know what? I stand by this point. Pirates have to be some of the most insufferable people to interact with on the planet. Because they see themselves in this moral high ground up here of, like, well, I'm not succumbing to the big corporation. I'm going to steal their stuff. Like, there are a lot of people this week who are like, well, I can't wait for Switch 2 to get hacked so that we can rip all of the game ROMs and I don't have to pay for the Switch 2 and I can just play the games. I'm like, that's very different than I want to preserve this random niche NES game that never got brought to the US and we need to, like, preserve that. Those are two very different things. One is preservation, legitimately. The other is I am too cheap and I don't want to pay for Nintendo because I think it's a subpar product, so I want to play it for free.
Yeah.
And that's wrong. That's stealing. I cannot...
That is wrong.
Like, anyone who played Tears of the Kingdom 2 weeks early because they didn't want to pay for it, because they didn't think, oh, $70 games is too much, so I'm not going to buy it. No. That's wrong.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah.
And I legitimately do not feel bad for anyone who gets gone after by Nintendo for doing that kind of stuff. And then people get mad at Nintendo when Nintendo says, all right, we're changing our terms of service, so if you modify your console to do this kind of stuff and get online, we're bricking your console. Because we're tired of people pirating and stealing our games that are readily available right now. And everyone's like, well, Nintendo's anti-consumer. I should be able to do whatever I want with it. Yeah, you can do whatever you want with it. But what they're telling you is that you can't. They're not saying you can't modify your console. You can. They're saying you can't get back online. When you modify your console, you waive your right to experience anything online. Because it's also a protection for people like us who aren't going to mod our consoles, because you don't want hackers getting into Mario Kart and abusing the system and ruining it for everyone else.
Yeah.
So I think Nintendo is entirely in the right for doing what they've done with Switch 2 to essentially make it unhackable for at least the next year, so that their games don't leak 2 weeks early. Like, every Switch game, a week to 2 weeks before it came out, was leaking and it was out online, which ruins it. It's great for the pirates because they're like, I can play it for free, blah, 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 blah. But then it ruins it for the, like, genuine consumer.
Yeah.
Who wants to experience the game when they buy it, because we're trying to do the right thing.
Right.
So it's like,
we're trying to just have fun.
Super
sticky. I think this is a very big, this is a really big, like, this is why we can't have nice things. And I also think it's interesting, like, this whole conversation kind of comes down to a sense of entitlement, where it's like, oh, I really want the Coyote versus Acme movie. I'm not entitled to it.
Right.
There is nothing contractually, legally, morally, like any you can think of that says I deserve that. We don't deserve literally anything. There is nothing we deserve. And so to say I am injusticed. Tears of the Kingdom is too expensive. This game that your team of whatever 100 people worked years on, for me to spend $70 whole on it, that is insane. I am entitled to, and guess what? If the game was $20, you'd still be pirating it, because it's not a price thing.
It's
not a price thing.
They say
it
it's
is
a
mentality.
Price thing. They say it's, oh, the games are too expensive. Oh, I don't want to support Nintendo and their anti-consumer practices. If it was $10, if it was free, they would still be pirating it, because it's a mentality, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it's a thing that happens specifically with Nintendo games, right? Yeah. Because Nintendo is, the kiddie company, despite, their age demographic leaning more into the young adult, like 21 to 30 age range. And that's their own statistics. That's not me making that up. You can look it up. Nintendo's the kiddie console. Like, we're going to pirate Mario because it's not, Ghost of Tsushima 2.
Right. And they're not going to come for us because,
And anime, I feel that entitlement with anime, where they're like, well, I enjoy Japanese media, so that means I'm entitled to watch the newest episode of My Hero Academia however I see fit. No.
Yeah.
No, you're not. In fact, let me just say this to the Western anime fans. You should be lucky that Japan sends us anything. Because we are entitled to nothing.
We suck.
The way I've seen Western anime fans talk about anime, and then like on Twitter, I'll briefly get sent over to like the Japanese algorithm, and I've seen so many of them talk about like how stupid the My Hero fans are because they can't comprehend all of these things. I'm like, we don't deserve anything. If Japan said, you know what, no more US anime, and cut us off like that, I wouldn't blame them. I'd be like, you know what? More power to you, honestly. Because there is this level of entitlement of like, well, as a pirate, I'm justified in what I'm doing because I'm fighting the big corporation and we're trying to fight back against Disney.
And you think you're doing a service to like...
You're really not.
You're doing a service to who? Like, literally, and that's what's so frustrating, is you're doing a service to literally no one but yourself. Because when you say, we're going to fight to take down the big corporation, so I'm going to pirate this, what's the reaction to that? The reaction is, hey, we have to tighten the leash on everyone because you can't have nice things.
Yeah.
Who is that helping?
Why do you think
who is that helping at all?
To a more digital age? Because they can control who has the digital item.
Yeah.
It's because of pirates that we start shifting towards the digital. That's why do you think we have all digital consoles? Because now any console manufacturer can say, ooh, you're doing unnecessary things with our games.
Good.
We're taking it away. And you don't get your game anymore. You don't get your movie anymore. We're taking it away. Which is why I absolutely, wholeheartedly understand the conversation about digital rights management and how you should own the digital thing that you pay them money for. Because you do. Like, if you buy a whole season of a TV show on Amazon Prime, you did give them like $50.
Yeah.
Like, you gave them your money.
There was
in
an
exchange
of goods.
for a product. So you should be able to have that. But it's also like, you see all those DVDs back there? I can do whatever I want with those DVDs. I can put them on another disc in case my disc breaks. As long as I don't sell that or give it to anyone outside of this house, that's fine. And they can't take these DVDs away from me either. They'd have to come drag them out of my house.
Yeah. And that's what's so hard, like, talking about the control thing, is it's like, this became a much more, this was a very different conversation, like, 15 years ago, not just because of the technology, but also because of the corporate mentality, where we haven't always had to fight companies as hard as we do now. Like, and you can be like, like, big business has always been big business. Disney has always been Disney. Like, conglomerate monopoly has always been a thing. Like, it has never not been big bad business versus small American man. That has never not been a thing. But also, think about 10 years ago, we weren't wiping movies for tax breaks. Like, we have slowly become so... Companies have become so incredibly, I guess, fascinate, like, so deep into, like, we need the profit, we need like, we've lost the integrity of art. And I think that's also what's hard, is when you slowly lose the integrity of art, we lose the value of art, which means we're pretty okay with stealing it. And so you would not steal the Mona Lisa because you're like, that's a priceless piece of art. But if your local art gallery has, like, a stupid Play-Doh sculpture looking thing, you wouldn't feel terrible about stealing it. So when companies are devaluing their own product and then we are trying to steal it, and then they're like, well, we have to tighten the leash because you're stealing it. It's also like, well, I don't want to go see Snow White in theaters. Like, maybe I'll just pirate it because it's whatever. Like, it's the big bad Disney thing. And also, like, so much of that has also become a societal mind shift where it's like, Disney equals bad. Don't give Disney any money. Nintendo equals bad. Don't give them any money. That means I have a right to steal. Whoa. Hold on.
Whoa.
Back it up a little bit. Like, oh, I don't trust my parents. I'm going to take all their money. Well, hold on. Like, back it up. Like, what is going on inside of you that is causing this right now? So, I don't know. I think this is this is not a conversation that I have, like, an answer. It's more like, essentially, it depends. Because also, if in freaking 80 years we're both dead and Spotify says, hey, any podcast that hasn't posted in the last month, we're going to wipe from the system, I would want my great-grandchildren to try to preserve it.
Right.
You know? Like, sure. Like, you can do that. But it's so hairy because that is what most of piracy is not that. It is not a love of the art, like you're saying. It is I am injusticed because I don't want to pay for this. So I'm going to steal it. So I'm entitled to steal it.
Yeah. So the only thing I want to add, because I said I was going to loop back to it, and I want to loop back to it because this is, like, such a frustrating phrase, is if buying isn't owning, then piracy isn't stealing, which usually refers more to the DRM side of the argument.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like, oh, I bought that DVD back there, I own it, right? It's talking about if I buy a movie from Amazon Prime, I'm not really owning it. I'm more being given a license to watch it whenever I want. Here's my problem with this is, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, really, because even if you don't own it, still stealing, still violating the copyright, like, it's still copyright infringement. I understand the frustration, right? I don't want that to go undersold because I don't want people to watch this.
It's so frustrating.
Yes. I don't want people to, like, watch this and think that I'm, you know, pro big corporation, like, oh, you think we shouldn't own stuff. No, I am a huge proponent of owning everything. Why do you think I have so much manga back there, so many video games, like video games on the shelf back there? I try to buy as many games physically as I can because I am really big into the owning thing. But I think the phrase itself is rhetorical at best and just straight up false.
Just
at
incorrect.
Worst. Like, no, because here's the thing. Like I said, it's still stealing. I don't really care if you're like, I hate Disney, I don't want to give them any money. That's fine. Don't give them money.
Right.
You're not like, here's the thing. If you say, right, I hate Publix, I don't want to give them any of my money, you're not entitled to any food in that store.
No.
You don't get to walk in and say, well, I'm going to steal bread because I want the bread, but I don't want to give them money. That's not how that works. Like,
they're the distributor of the bread.
Everybody likes to poke fun at the ad that's like, you wouldn't steal a car, but it actually was kind of ingenious because it's like, you don't, like, if you don't pay Ford for a new car, you're not entitled to anything on their lot. You don't get things if you don't pay money for them. That's how society has worked and will continue to work in perpetuity.
You exchange currency for goods or services.
This has been
This is the base level of capitalism.
It's the base level of, like, society.
Yeah. No, it's so funny because it's like, I hate Target. So since I hate Target,
I'm gonna steal
go
a flat screen TV.
Steal. And so it's like,
which some people have been doing.
Wait. Yes. I hate Best Buy. I don't want them to tell me to join their membership. Thus, I'm going to go to Best Buy and steal. Well, wait, hold on. What's the disconnect? Because I want a TV. I want to play Tears of the Kingdom, but I don't want to give Nintendo my money. Well, guess what? Nintendo is the owner of Tears of the Kingdom. So if you don't pay them, you don't get it.
And here's the thing. If you really don't want to give Nintendo money, right? Like, using, like, hyper-fixating on the game side here. If you really don't want to give Nintendo money, buy the game secondhand.
Yeah.
Because then you still get to buy the game, but you don't have to give Nintendo money. Like, you can say, well, someone else had to give them money. And it's like, well, yeah. Someone was going
to give them money.
Someone was going to have to do
it. Like,
so
oh my God.
Just let someone else pay the fee to Nintendo, and then you pay the person to get a used copy.
Because guess what? You want to play it. You're gonna play it regardless. You may as well do it legally. And if that's how you make yourself feel better, then that's fine. Do it. Like, oh my God.
End of the day, don't pirate.
It's just stupid.
I have no sympathy.
It's just stupid.
Here's my final statement. I have no sympathy for anyone who pirates anything that is readily available on anything. If it's not readily available, I can see an argument and I can kind of give, like, an exception. But if it is readily, legally available anywhere, even on the freaking Roku TV app,
right?
I don't care. If it's readily available legally, I don't want to see you pirate it.
Which is so funny because I love the Weird Al movie, okay? I think it's one of the funniest movies we've made in the last decade. Hilarious. I love Weird Al. It was distributed through Roku. You could only watch it on the Roku TV app, okay? Thus, when I saw that DVD at a random Walmart, I was like, I need that. Because I know this is going to be really hard to watch legally very soon. Because Roku is not like an everyday streaming service. And even those everyday streaming services have the right to remove your favorite movie.
Yep. Because they're the copyright holder.
Buying is not owning. Like, And that's what's so hard is I'm like, we're so like, if you buy something on Amazon Prime, you actually don't own it. And it's like, that's true, but that doesn't mean piracy isn't stealing. Like it still is. Like
it doesn't mean it's okay.
Half true. Like it's half true. Like you were halfway there and then you just swung in the complete like opposite direction.
Yep.
So I second that statement. That is how we feel as a brand of the Nerdiest podcast is we have no sympathy for you pirating something that is not readily available somewhere. Outside of that, it is a case-by-case interpretation based on what it is, who created it, when it was created, and what is the intention.
Yep.
Outside of that, this is why it's so hard. This is illegal. So,
yeah, that's illegal.
Unless you have anything else to add, I think we're ready to wrap up.
No, I think I'm good
on this episode. So we did have this question posed at the beginning. Should we pirate media? Well, I'm going to say as the captain of the Booty Bandits, no. Should we preserve media? Yes. Asterisks. So,
yeah. As the captain of the No-K Pirates, I second that motion.
There you go.
Piracy is bad. Do not do it.
Arg.
As the captain of a pirate crew, do not be a pirate. That's bad.
Do not do that. So, without further ado, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Nerdiest Podcast. I hope you enjoyed our conversation on a much more kind of like in the air instead of just being like, this is this show and we're talking about this movie or this show. We love having these conversations. So if you like this kind of episode, please let us know. Drop a comment down below. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at The Nerdiest Podcast, YouTube at The Nerdiest Podcast. Watch video versions of this show. So thank you so much once again for made it this far in the episode. All the links for everything you need are in the description to follow us. Personally, all the merch is down there. We will see you in 2 weeks for another very interesting episode. We cannot wait to get into one that we've had on the calendar for literal months. And it's finally developed enough to where we feel like we're ready to talk about it. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And we will see you in the next episode. Until then, bye.